Morning, everybody. Welcome, boys. And we got to get some more women in here because I really would much rather talk to women than you guys, to be honest with you.
Gail just moved, and then Gail had to fly back to California because her mom.
Yeah, I know. I talked to her. Yeah, she's a mess. But I got a couple of people I've been talking about coming on board, about coming into the call with us. Anyway, so today's topic, which I think is really relevant, I'll tell you just quickly. One of the things that I've learned about realtors is that they stop working in November. Either it's because it's the holidays, because we have Thanksgiving for 2 days, Christmas for 2 days, and New Year's. So those 5 days represent 2 months to take off. But really it's because they either hit their goals and they don't care anymore, or they didn't hit their goals and they gave up. My opinion, of course. Hold on, so he's in. And so today's topic is, how do you not do that? Like, my best closings for me always were January is my first closing. I started in September 10, 2001, day before 9/11. Still sold my first house that week. And that January, I had 9 closings. My worst January closing was always 6 or more, because I learned that most realtors give up in November, December. So that means there's plenty of customers for the picking. So anyway, so I want to kind of get all of your opinions today on what do you do to prepare now. I mean, everybody on this call is a rock star. What do you do to prepare now over the next 2 months? So in January, you're not starting in January, you're not having your first closing until March. So let's start with somebody. Let's start with Randy today.
All right. I'll just keep it quick for now and simple. So since most of my sphere is the investor community, I kind of play the same tune that you just said, Mitch, right? I remind my investor clients that this is not the time to just sit back and relax, right? This is the time to press in. Our investment company always does the best towards the end of the year, right? As far as picking up our own properties to flip. So I want to remind my own community of investors that I do a lot of business with to do the same exact thing, because there will be opportunities where listings are not going to get that much activity, not many offers. And this is where you can come in and kind of be the hero, right? Because the reality is a lot of sellers will need to sell by the end of the year. And a lot of times it's for tax reasons, right? And people forget that, right? They need to make these certain sales before the end of the year because they're planning for taxes and things like that. I remember Brian always reminds our agents about that, right? That you're going to see things happen that wouldn't have happened right at the end of the year because there's a little bit of a desperation and motivation that's taking place. So that's kind of my way of, reminding my sphere that I have a lot of influence in, because if they do that, then that means more business for me, right? Because I list a lot of the flips eventually when they fix them up and sell them. I'm also educating them on maybe considering looking at locking up a property, but then putting it right back on the market as is. Like, I'm going to be doing a mastermind to my investor community tonight, and that's going to be actually the focus of my topic, because Brian and I listed a property for a trust a few weeks ago, and we brought in 3 investor clients that we knew before it hit the market. That's what we promised our sellers will do. They all came in at around $435,000 or $440,000. The after repair value on this property is about $690,000, $680,000. But we recommended that based on that, we told our sellers, hey, let's put it on the market at $500,000, because we're going to target a buyer that's a end user that is okay with doing renovations. And this property is mortgageable, even though it's totally outdated, it's still mortgageable. So we put it on the market at a very good price of $500,000, and we got literally 38 offers on that property in this market, right? Where everyone's saying there's no buyers out there, right? We got literally just destroyed with phone calls and texts. And I mean, Brian will vouch for this because he took a brunt of that. And guess what? Our top offers were all conventional FHA buyers that want to live in the property, fix it up themselves. And we ended up opening escrow actually with an EXP agent, which is awesome. And our highest backup is another EXP agent, which is even better. And we opened an escrow at 590,000 on that property, right? So what I'm gonna educate my investor clients today is like, look, if you lock up a property, let's say the investor actually did get this property off market at 440, 450. I would educate them to consider listing it as is. Don't fix it up. Let's put it right back on the market at 500 like we did, right? Still way below the after repair value, which is 680, 690. And let's sell it to an end user with a mortgage. And you'll make literally more money without doing any work to that same property versus fixing it up and then putting it back on the market in January where we don't know what the market will do. So that's going to be my conversations with my sphere actually tonight. So
That's great. Yeah, it's all about educating and thinking outside the box, right? I mean, that's the key to all of this stuff. But and definitely during your this time period is to really be in touch with your sphere and talking to everybody, and especially your buyers. It's a good time to buy because sellers are definitely want to get their properties off the market by the end of the year, and there's so many few buyers this time of year generally that they're more apt to take an offer lower than they would have taken in March or April coming up. So
Yep.
let's go over to Mr. Moses, because he did part the sea once, and I really liked when he did that. It was cool. He saved my fellow peeps. So
it's an interesting question. I love it. I used to have, at the height of my business, I had a goal of selling. Everybody listening today has a goal of X number of sales next year. And if you take your goal and you divide it by 12, that's what most people do. And in my case, we were wanting to sell 400 homes a year. So that's 33 sales a month. January would roll around in New Hampshire and our team would sell 6. And I'd be like, holy shit, I'm screwed. I'm dead. I'm never going to hit my goal. And it would create undue stress. So an exercise that everybody can do is go through the last 12 months and find out what the absorption rate is of the market. And the way that you do that is you take what are the total number of sales for the last 12 months in your market, how many, and you got to go month by month after that. How many sold in January? How many sold in February? How many sold in March for 12 months? You divide the number of sales per month into the total number of sales, and it'll give you your absorption rate per month. And what I found was January in New Hampshire, 4% of all sales sold in January. So I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually ahead of the game. So psychologically, and if I can share my screen, I'll give everybody a visual about this. I just did this with a coaching client. You can also do it with your activities. So sales is the lagging indicator, meaning that's what we're trying to measure. Can I share screen?
I think Dre has to do that for you. Dre, can you do that for her? Or Brian, make him host or
Hang on one second.
shareable?
It'll also allow you to adjust your marketing budget in advance. So our marketing for May, June, July, the big months in New Hampshire is 90 days before that. So the majority of our marketing dollars, if May, June, and July were, 12% of sales, 15% of sales, 21% of sales, that would be my marketing allocation 90 days in advance, if that's making sense. So let me share this. So here's an example of one of my clients. But having the absorption rate, so 4% of their sales sold in January, 6% in February, 8%, 10%. So now if your goal is 100 sales a year, for example, you only need 4 sales in January, but you need 11 in July. Is everybody following me?
mm-hmm.
Now, those are the sales, listings taken if you know, if your average days on market is 30 days, we can create a path so that we know if we're on track with our leading indicators. Listings taken, listing appointment. So that's kind of what it looks like visually. So Mitch, when you asked that question, this is what popped in my head, and I hope it helps.
Yeah, that's great. Part of this is we've talked about many times on here, is you got to know your numbers, right? If you don't know your numbers, how do you know your business? If you don't know your business, you're not running a business. You're running a technician's job. And per the E-Myth Revisited book, which I absolutely adore. It's great stuff. And when you're doing that, you know that you're going to get your sales in January. You're going to keep your consistency. I think that's the biggest thing for me when I looked at all this stuff and I looked at this question today. I did mine through open houses. So I knew that if I consistently did my open houses in November and December, where again, most people weren't, I was going to get more traffic through, therefore more buyers and therefore more sales. That's my favorite thing to do when I was selling houses full time, was do open houses, because it was easy, it was free. A lot of you people out there don't have any budgets or don't have a lot of money. I'm with you. If you haven't seen my wife's shoe collection, you'll understand why. And but being able to do open houses and generate more leads that are good leads, the beginning of November on is going to really kickstart your January with multiple sales. Let's go over to
Hey, Mitch, can I
yes.
piggyback on that really quick?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Can I share my screen also?
Yeah, Jay has to move it over to you. And Matt, why don't you just take it from there? We'll let you go onto your thing.
All right. Well, I wanted to show if I can share. That was awesome, Brian, by the way. If I can share my screen, I don't know if I can do it yet.
Brian has to make you host.
Oh, Brian, we have to piggyback. Brian, you have to make Matt the host.
Okay, will do.
You're the host right now. This is like the hot potato. Pass the host.
Got it.
All right.
It's not recording.
No, now it's going. Sorry.
We can download it from Workplace Jay.
Yeah, it's still recording. Okay. I wanted to piggyback on what Brian was saying. So everybody that's here in San Diego and even in other parts of the country, we have this thing called InfoSparks on our MLS. And this shows, goes back to 2017, but you can look back in this past year and you can go just by running your mouse over this. This is pending sales. So this was December of 2021, January of 2022. This is in San Diego County, okay? And you can see the metrics, right? March, we all know March, April is kind of the busiest months of the year as far as things going into escrow. And then you can see where we are right now. And you can go back year by year. So this is, I found what Brian said to be really, really helpful. And what I do is I know that people are going to start making decisions about, for example, who they want to list with and who they want to work with in January. And I know that come January, usually middle to end of January, your mailbox gets full with all these agents suddenly doing some marketing because they go, gosh, I got to get some business. So I prefer to start it in November, December. So this is the time of year in October when I decide what I want to do as far as marketing in the coming year. And I chart it all out. And I don't wait to start it in January. I actually started in November, December, because I want to be, whether it's direct mail, if you're going to do mailers, homeowners are going to save those mailers, and then that's who they're going to call in January, February. So I think it's really important not to wait until January, February, because you can't hit the ground running. You don't have any money in the bank, basically. It's worth it to start doing your marketing in November, December for the new year. And the best advice I always give agents is put it on autopilot. Set up what you're going to do for the whole year, because what happens is people start doing a little marketing and then they get busy and then they take their eye off the ball and their marketing stops because they're overwhelmed with selling real estate, which is pretty time consuming. And then their business comes to a halt because they're not doing any marketing, right? So you want to, it's really, really important, no matter what your budget is to set up your marketing for the entire year. And then where you no longer have to think about it, right? It's just going to happen no matter what.
Matt, question on that for you. Do you find, do you do the same amount of marketing throughout the year on a monthly basis, and you pick it up a little bit November, December, so you have a strong January?
I typically do not do the same amount every single month. So, in the summertime, I don't stop it usually, but I slow it down. In the fall, I mean, generally I do have, months where I do a lot more, but we all know the busiest time of year is springtime, right? So even on a great year, when you get to June, July, August, it slows down, right? So I typically slow, I reduce my spend in the summertime, but we're in the lead generation business. Cameron, you can go ahead. I can see you there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And one thing I just wanted to bring in, kind of tying onto that, is that you can prepay your marketing. I know a lot of us have had massive years this year. So you can prepay your marketing 1 year in advance or whatever. And actually that is a tax write-off for you guys. So if you are setting up new lead gen systems or you are reactivating stuff, think about maybe extending it or prepaying it for tax write-off. So that's just what I wanted to kind of tie on with that.
That's good. Good stuff. And what you're going to find in common with everybody that continues to have, sales. We talk about, I was just explaining this to an agent yesterday. This is your typical sales route for most agents. January, there's no sales. February, they have a closing or two. March, there's no sales. April, they have a closing or two. They're not consistent in what they do. So therefore, like as soon as they get a couple deals, oh my God, I got 2 deals. I can't do any more work, right? Because that 2 deals are going to take them a month. I see that all the time. You're going to create this consistency. And that was, again, going back to open houses, and I'll harp on that all day today, that's what gave me consistency of always having sales, because I knew if I did an open house, I was going to get a buyer. The open house, I'm going to get a buyer all the time. Let's go over to just because, the Phillies won, and, I like Craig. So Craig, what's your thing?
All right. It's an interesting topic you guys just brought up, because over the past 2 days really, on my social media, on TikTok, if you're following me, you might have seen it or stuff like that. I had an agent 2 days ago call me from TikTok. They actually called me. They wanted some advice. And I said, well, so what's your situation? They said, I have nothing in my pipeline. I have nothing pending. And, and they went to their manager, who was at another company. I'm not going to say the company. And the agents in my marketplace too. And their manager said, well, it's the time of the year. Well, it's the market. Well, why don't you wait and just plan for January? Well, that just made me batshit crazy. And I was like, I'm going off on this thing. So I decided that, why do we do that? Because that's what everybody else does. That's what the majority does. And and we've all talked about, we only run as fast as the leader of the herd runs. I mean, Cameron was doing his physical therapy in his garage today with a broken foot, and we're all like, dude, what are you doing? I said, he's leading the pack. Let's all go. So, but here's the deal. When I said that, agent, I'm going to put a challenge out there on TikTok and everything else. January 1 is when usually people do the resolutions. I'm going to do this. You know why they do it then? Because it's tough during the holidays. Do the tough stuff when nobody else is doing. Do the tough stuff when it's tougher. It's even going to be easier when it's in the easy time of the year. So what I said to her, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a TikTok challenge out. January 1 is 1/1, right? We're lucky. November's coming up. They're all ones. 1/1/1. I'm viewing November 1 as January 1. What would you do if January 1 hit on November 1? You will be surprised at how much business you will have in January and February. It will boost your year. It'll give your family a holiday that at least you gave 150% balls to the wall, excuse the expression, and went. You can't say you didn't try. Stop listening to everybody else. Stop understanding the sky is falling. And I'm sorry if I sound a little passionate about it. I've been putting this out for the past 2 days. November 1st, I'm holding a New Year's party with confetti and some balloons, whatever it is, on TikTok to start my New Year's of what I'm doing and my resolution. Anybody want to follow it? Anybody want to get into this sales kick for the next? Everybody else is going away. Let's sell when nobody else is here. Sorry, that's my energy. Move New Year's to November 1st, call it a day and forget the holidays. Enjoy the holidays, but forget they're here and sell like you never sold before. Done.
Craig, that is like the freaking most awesomest message I've heard in 200 years.
Craig even started his gym, the weight loss challenge in October. Look, he's 3 months ahead of everybody. Everyone starts it in January.
Right.
Right.
No, that was wicked awesome. I love that.
And guess
I
what?
actually built
It's not
myself a
easy.
note.
If everybody could do it, they'd be doing it. You want to get paid like a professional athlete, go practice out in the dark like everybody else, like they do. Don't sit at home and watch TV and play
Don't say
tiddlywinks. Do something, read a book, get better. Man, I'm tired of hearing this, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't. Do it. If your people aren't leading you, and again, we're talking to our own family in here. If you have friends that need help, even if they're not in our company, have them follow us. Have them follow me. We're going to give. We're going to get. The more we give, the more we're going to get. Live in abundance. Damn it. Let's go. November 1st.
All right. So everybody knows on November 1st, we're all going up to Craig's house for New Year's Eve.
I'll even have the mummers come to my house if you want to have New Year's Eve on Halloween night. Come on,
There you
man.
go.
My sons are into mummers. If you've never seen it, it's like Philly's Mardi Gras on New Year's Day.
Actually, Brian and you and I are going to be together on the New Year's Eve, right? Pretty fun. All right, let's go over to Mr. Yabor. And your strategy for having, I don't know how you beat what Craig just did, so I'm kind of done.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Here's what I do know. I track, like Brian Moses said, I tracked, and I have been tracking my history since early years. And I made this decision in 2000. I tested this in 2000, so that's a while ago. In 2000 through 2005, I decided that if I'm going to be a realtor and I'm going to sell real estate, I might as well sell the highest priced luxury properties in San Diego where I've worked. I made that decision based upon a couple of things. I worked harder on that first time home buyer FHA or VA deal than I did on a $7 or $8 million home, because that $7 or $8 million home buyer writes a check, right? They're a 10 buyer. They don't talk about financing. So if you up your game in the luxury market, here's what you learn. And so in 2005, I left a very successful real estate team in a very exclusive area of San Diego, and I went and opened up my own team, but I used all the strategies from the luxury market to deliver a Nordstrom treatment for every buyer. But the track record that Brian was talking about, if you know your market, and in San Diego, here's what I learned. The luxury market buyers are very active in the fourth quarter of every year. Randy touched on it. Why? Because they're typically CEOs, they're large earners, they do things on the corporate level. There's corporate distributions in October and in November after taxes are due on October 15th, that all of a sudden, if you're doing what Mitch was saying, if you're doing an open house in November and December, here's what you look for. Here's the ninja clue. Who's driving a brand new car? Because if they're driving a brand new car, they're out spending money. They know their credit score. They know everything that's going on with them. They have a big budget and they're out looking for homes. So if you're going to do an open house, pick a property in the higher price range. If your average market price is $400 or $500, here it's $800 or it was $800. Step up your game. Pick a property that might be a little bit above. Where are those whales driving around? Where are they looking? Because I can guarantee you, if you do this, because I did this for too long, my track record every year, the fourth quarter, my biggest sales quarter every single year for the last 22 years. I just stuck with that plan because it worked for me. Now, if you know your numbers, whatever your marketplace is, and if you're in that mindset, you will meet only one or two people. But guess what? They buy a house that's equal to 3 or 4 houses. It's just a numbers game. That's what I learned. So marketing going into, and I think part of our topic today was also about planning for the next year with prepaying and all your things. So if you're not good at your numbers, get good at them. You need to know your numbers. And what I learned is that I had a gap in my conversion ratios. So I had a really big bucket of opportunities. But I was not processing opportunities before I was showing appointments really well. I had a gap in my lead bucket. My lead bucket is actually today the most important bucket I have, because everybody that's in my opportunity bucket is like this lake or river behind me. If I throw a worm or a fly out into the river, that's just an opportunity to catch a fish, right? I don't know what the fish is. If it's biting, I don't know what size it is. I don't know anything about the fish. All I know is I've got my pole in the water. I've got an opportunity. That's what we do for a living, because we're all unemployed every single morning. Congratulations. You're all independent contractors and you all wake up unemployed. So if you're unemployed like me, you throw a worm in the water, you throw a fish, a hook out there, and what do you get? You get bites. As soon as you know you're getting bites, that bite is still an opportunity. But the moment you set the hook, now it's a lead. Leads are something you've never seen. A lot of times they're phone leads, they're internet leads, they're people who wander in, they're just things that go on. But now all of a sudden, when I see the fish, that's an opportunity. Well, is it a small fish? I'm gonna throw it away. It's not gonna do me any good, right? It's not ready. But I got a big fish. Now I got something to work with, right? So the analogy I'm trying to get you guys to understand is that if you don't have poles in the water, that's marketing. That's your internet leads. That's all your stuff. You need to have an opportunity bucket that is collecting opportunities while you're awake or asleep. Some people pay for make it rain. If you're going to pay for make it rain, that's great. Don't throw your money away. Learn how to convert those opportunities to a lead. Fill your lead bucket, because see, a lead bucket should not be an appointment bucket. It leads to appointments. So my goal was always to have a bucket with large opportunity buyers, my normal day-to-day business buyers who are going to be my spring buyers. Those are the ones that are out looking at houses April, May, June when school's out. And I'm doing my open houses year round, but I'm strategically doing them based on what I know my market does. So if your market's like our market, you have big wage earners in and around your area. Those big wage earners typically are out shopping and buying houses, because also interest rates historically are their lowest in the fourth quarter. So if interest rates are lowest and prices are typically softer, because who's out buying houses? I'm certainly doing all my open houses today. If I'm an agent, I'm doing all my open houses in the next 3 months. Man, I am out there because I'm building next year's pipeline with today's market. And today's market buyers may not be ready, but that's okay. I just want to be able to cultivate a relationship with them, because it only takes one or two who are really ready to get into escrow. And that way you'll have that big New Year's Eve party, because they're going to try to close, like Randy was saying, and Craig was saying, they're going to want to close this year. They got to spend the money this year and they need the tax break this year. If they don't, they carry it into next year. They don't know what next year's corporate numbers are going to look like. So they're going to be in a hurry. So if you can get somebody in that luxury market in escrow before December 1st, chances are it has to close this year. And that's how you're going to do two things. You're going to win the rest of this year, and you're going to prepare yourself for next year.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think you might have, like, that was good stuff over Craig's. I don't know, neck and who the winner is. Which just really makes it tough for Cameron and Dennis. So let's go to Cameron next, and we'll save the best for last, because I know Dennis has some great wisdom he's going to partake on all of us. Partake? I don't think it's the right word, but okay, Cameron.
So yeah, guys, so I'm going to kind of reiterate what everyone said. Matt, November is what I call the November resolution. Instead of January resolution, we do it in November. We redo all of our marketing for the next year in November. We kind of reevaluate all our numbers. You know, Brian Moses, you use your analytics to kind of get that mental game in check and kind of get you so that you understand that, hey, if January we don't sell 33 homes, it's okay. I think that's kind of what I want to go over, is that the mental game throughout these next few months is just so important, you guys. You have to decide. Craig, I can tell you're going to be the most successful one on our whole group here, because you're the one that's going after it. You are ready to go. You are taking lead of your business right now. And it just shows. I mean, we all know it, that whoever is going to take grasp of their business and make it happen in November is going to have those results in January, February, March. One thing I did want to point out, obviously, Craig, you're doing this. Social media throughout the holiday, guys, is huge. If you're not doing social media, it's great to not only connect with your sphere, But also there's thousands of people that are on Thanksgiving, and what are they doing, guys? They're searching social media for houses. So if you can get in front of them, it's a wonderful avenue for lead gen. But like I said, mental game, guys, you got to stay with your routine through the holidays. If you guys do work out in the morning, keep with your workouts. That will get it so that after your workouts, you're working, you're starting your day. I'm going through really basic stuff, but I've talked with a lot of my agents here this last week that they seem like they're already getting off on this, and it's not even the holidays yet. It's not even, it's not even Halloween. And it's like, keep with your routine, make sure you stay on your schedule, and that'll make sure that as you get through the holidays, you're, staying busy. Randy, you said you're talking about people doing weird stuff around the holidays. I just sold a home for a client of mine that sold it way undervalued because she had tax purposes. And I was like, we can get you more for this. She says, it's okay. We don't need to get more for it. And it blew my mind. The investor that I sold it to, we sold it both sides, loved it, was super happy with it. But that happens all the time. So that's something that you were completely right on, is people are doing stuff that doesn't make sense all the time, because there's more going on in some people's lives than just, selling the specific home. One thing I want to talk on, and I know we haven't brought it up a lot, is that lead gen throughout the holidays, guys. Super, super important. Make sure you have your Google local services ads turned on. Those are imperative for buyers. If you don't have a Google local services, look it up, figure out what it is. Make sure you're running your Facebook ads. These are all buyer generators. Obviously, Mitch, you're huge into open houses. If you're going to be doing open houses, this is the time to do them. Get that funnel going so that once people get through the holidays, they're already on the mind. You're already working with them. And then you're the agent lined up, and you don't have to, you're not going through that rigmarole of January of being behind. What else do I got for you guys? And everything was kind of already said. I just really think November is the time to really set up your schedules, look at your numbers, set up your planning. I always, like I said, I call it the November resolution, and that's when we start our time. So Craig, what do you want to jump in on there?
You just mentioned something on Google, and I wanted to throw this out. I'm not sure I've mentioned it before. We just revamped our Google. Couple things. One, make sure that you post all your sales you've ever had on the map. It is awesome. Then you take that and embed it in your website. So then it can be seen right on your website also. So one, Google likes that you're using them to show where your sales are. Two, is you go to a house and say, by the way, how many homes have your agent sold that you're interviewing? Boom, and you show them yours on your iPad, and it blows their world up. If you don't have it, get on your teams, figure it out. Number two, Google now accepts videos. You can do up to 30-second videos. The goal is to get at least 10 of them on there. If you're over 10, they boost you more. Play with Google, it feeds their ego. They're going to go there more. So two things that we're working on really hard now, working on your Google. That's it.
Yeah, you guys, Google is huge. Google's the biggest search engine in the world, especially for me down here. I'm in a second home market, so people aren't typically local. So Google for us is absolutely imperative. They're called Google local service ads. I'm not sure, someone asked in the chat, but local service ads. There's quite a few companies out there that can run them for you, but if you look into how to do them, you can set them up yourself. As well as Facebook ads, you guys. Facebook is still, I think there's over 3 billion active users. It's crazy. If you're running ads and you're trying to find buyers, those stuff work. And if you're running them through the holidays, that's when people are sitting at home. They're just, binging Facebook or binging Google, and they're looking at properties. And if your name keeps popping up, you're going to be called.
That's great.
There's also the part that you can do to get approved as a person that does a review. Like if you go to a restaurant, you take a picture of the restaurant, pick a picture of the view, put a little snippet, and it posts. Now you're an expert in the area. It tags to their page and it tags to your page. So now all of a sudden you're now on this person's page along with who you are. So that's another idea. So now you're free, and you can then go do a 30-second video with that person, give it to them. They'll post it on their Google. So now you're on their Google page. Just some ideas.
So I'm going to just jump in real quick more. Yeah, I'm just going to jump in just to keep going on the social media thing. Remember too, guys, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, all of this stuff, there's literally billions of people using per day. It's wild. You start posting on this stuff, people start sharing your stuff. Before you know it, you get 1 million views on your brand or your company. And you'll get 15, 20 calls in a day just because of one post. So social media, guys, it's really big. Google's obviously the biggest. Facebook's big. But don't forget about Pinterest. Don't forget about YouTube. Make sure that you are starting to at least look into and focus on your social media, because that's where the world's going. people spend all of their free time on it, and throughout the holidays, it's really the hours spike. So while the sales might go down, but the hours people are spending online browsing and just kind of entertaining or binging go way up.
Awesome. All right, Dennis, we've been waiting for you all day. Here you go. You got 20 minutes to fill. Go for it.
Don't put me on the spot. Mitch, can I screen share here? Is that possible?
Matt, I think you were the last one to screen share. I think you have to give it to Dennis.
No, I made you the host, so you just got to make
Oh,
Dennis.
you made me the host. Okay, let me go find a whole second.
Hot potato.
Mhm.
I know, right?
Passing it
All
around.
right. Dennis,
We kind of
Make
look like the
code.
Brady Bunch.
right?
Little
It's a
bit.
story. Where's my guitar?
Perfect. But, you know, guys, there's really, as Brian Moses, my coach for 15 years, has always taught me, there's three types of, I hope I'm saying this right, Brian. There's expensive marketing, somewhat expensive marketing, and free marketing, right? So let me go into the expensive marketing first, which is a Matt Battiata. Thank you, Matt, for this. This is what I'm doing now in Crown Point, which I've already made over $50,000 in my first 6 months. That pays for 6 years of this marketing. So for 6 years, this is free for me. Okay, with this one idea. And it's Real Marketing for You, I believe, is the website, if anybody wants to go there. Okay. And let me do a little screen share here. So this is, I'm going to show you guys some expensive marketing. This is the first one. Second one is this. This is my expired campaign, which I'm going to see. I'm assuming that there's going to be some expired listings coming up. So this is what I'm doing. This is a URL. Let's get here. Let's see how to get this thing next. So it's basically like this. What I did, guys, is I got listings that I sold that were expired, and I just highlighted them on the back of the postcard. I think I've shared with this, Randy, we're trying to get this on a Google Doc or into Workplace, are we? And Mitch, I don't know if you could help out with that, but we're trying to get all these uploaded. So if anybody wants to use these, go right ahead.
Well, we're gonna do a Facebook group for it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll upload this when it's there. Realtor postcard. Basically, it's just showing why they should be picking me over anybody else.
Dennis, how often do you send this stuff?
So I haven't done this, Mitch, in a couple of years now because there hasn't been any expireds, but I'm assuming that next year there'll be some expireds. So we'll probably hit it pretty hard. So this is costly marketing, as Brian Moses taught me. It's effective, but it's costly and it's labor intensive, right? My assistant basically handles it all. Postcards cost money. There's a series of, I believe, 12 postcards that go out to every single person that has an expired home. So this is quite a bit of work. There's less expensive marketing, which is this. This is the letter campaign that I do that I've taught you guys before. Basically, you want to get in this market. I mean, if you have buyers, that's kind of key, right? Because there's listings out there sitting. If you have buyers, that's the way to go. This right here is a jackpot. So you get a buyer, you send out this letter to basically to a neighborhood that this buyer is looking in, handwrite the envelope, okay, live stamp, which means a regular stamp, and then send this out. And this thing makes the phone ring. We sent this out to a neighborhood here in La Jolla and Wind and Sea. And we got a call for a $7 million house the other day. So this stuff really works. Okay, guys. Free marketing is open houses. I mean, double down, guys. The market slowed down a little bit. There's less buyers out there. So, you know, if you were getting 15 people through your open house 6 months ago, you're probably going to get 6 or 7 this time. So what does that mean? You do 2 open houses, right? Or you do them twice as long. Instead of 3 hours, do a 6-hour open house. Just step up your games. I mean, everybody needs to step up right here. Number 2 is meeting clients for lunch. I might have shared this before, but I have 2 commercial past clients that are commercial real estate agents. And I swear, I take this one guy out to lunch at least once every 2 months. And every single time I take him to lunch, he refers me a person. It's like automatic. So, you know, get in the game, be active, get out there, meet people, pick up the phone. Yes, it takes some work. Call your past clients, talk to them, reestablish relationships, and then you'll see things start happening. Brian Moses and I talked about this the other day. When you're in action, meaning you're doing things, the universe rewards you with more good stuff. So if you sit on your ass and do nothing, I'll tell you right now, nothing's going to happen. If you pick up the phone and get active, shit will start happening. So that's what I have, Mitch. Hopefully that helps.
That's great. My favorite line I've written this year was, if nothing changes, right?
That's right.
Activity breeds activity. If you're not out there actively trying to build your business and grow, you're just not doing it. So, I mean, I'll finish with a couple things. We have a question on there, but just I'll tell you my favorite thing from today, honestly, was Craig's New Year's Eve is 11/1, and it's such a great mindset boost for you because we all start. First of all, nobody starts on January 1st, right? Because they're all hungover. Right. So nobody starts on January 1st because that's the holiday. So now you're starting January 2nd, which means you're really getting the office thinking about what you're going to start doing January 2nd, which means you're going to implement February 1st, which means your first contract's in April. And I've seen that, I've had hundreds of agents work for me over the years, and it's always amazed me rather that agents will complain every January and February because they're broke because they don't do anything in November and December. I would have more agents come to me in January and February for a loan than actually there was never any other months. I can't pay my mortgage. I can't pay my car payment. I can't feed my children, and which is terrible, by the way. And all they had to do was work in November and December. Action. It just takes action. There was a question I had. I'm curious to see who has an answer for it. And I want to build my business on open houses. I'm doing my second one this Sunday. Which, by the way, that's how I built my business. 36 sales my first year, 28 from open houses. Is there a better way to get people to let me host their open house than just asking? Is there something else? So you guys that have a lot of listings out there, if an agent comes to you, what are you looking for them to tell you to hopefully get them to let them do an open house? Open question to anybody.
I guess I'll say first, I let most people take an open house if they would like, and then depending on their feedback and if they, let me know how it goes without me having to ask, it's going to really determine if they get more in the future. I really don't. I would never say you can't hold an open house at one of my homes, especially if I'm not able to hold it or one of my team members is. So, yeah, I think that's my best answer. Is that if you come back after you do it and you're professional and you say, hey, we had 7 people and it was a good open house, most of the feedback was this or whatever, or hey, there was no feedback or whatever it may be, but you don't make me chase you to try to figure out my own listing. I think that would be the biggest thing that I would recommend.
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay. Yeah, Brian?
When it comes to marketing and getting a listing agent to say yes to you doing an open house is marketing. It's verbal marketing. So whenever you're marketing, you want to put yourself in your prospect's shoes and speak in a language that's what's in it for you. So one tip that I would say is I would go to Dennis D'Souza and I'd say, hey, Dennis, I'm a new agent. You got this luxury listing in La Jolla. I'd like to really blow your exposure and visibility out of the market. So if you would allow me to do an open house, I'll use your signs, your directionals to drive traffic there. You don't even need to attend, and I will get so many people there, which will appease your seller, generate more interest, hopefully sell the property. But all the branding and all the promotion I'm going to do on your behalf. Because the only thing I really care about is getting the leads that come to the open house. So that would be an idea or a strategy to differentiate yourself from all the other people that are trying to, parasite off an open house, so that it's more beneficial to the agent that you're going to.
That's a great answer. I love that answer, Brian. Anybody else have any answer on that? Brian Yapa?
Yeah, I think to piggyback on that, Brian, that's amazing because we do that. And what happens is we learn that there are certain brokers that don't allow you to hold somebody else's listing open, right? There's rules and regulations, E&O. So if you have that kind of a relationship with your broker, or you see somebody who has a listing and they don't allow you because you're not with their brokerage. Well, what Brian just explained was it's called hosting. I don't want to have an open house. I just want to host your open house. So if you can just use that as the language, now your broker will not be upset with you for hosting a broken house, an open house for that same situation. So listen to this tape again, write down everything he said verbatim, and then just let your broker know, hey, I'm not going to have an open house. I'm just going to host an open house for another agent. And that's exactly what you want to do, because a successful open house is where on Monday, you've got 2 leads. I mean, if you could get 2 leads to call and set up a buyer consultation, you don't show property right away. 90% of the time you incubate a lead. So all you're after is leads. So sit and be a host all day long. Go ask a new builder if you can host his, models on a Tuesday when they're closed. Gosh, why don't we host an open house there? I mean, get creative, be a host, but the goal are the nuggets, and the nuggets are the leads that Brian was talking about. So that was brilliant, Brian.
That's great.
I shared,
I'm sorry.
hey,
Go ahead, Randy.
oh,
Good, man.
I don't know if anyone noticed Brian said tape. I think some of the younger generation are like, wait, what tape? How do I even get my hand?
Right.
Brian is dating himself.
I got grandkids.
Right.
But I did post a screenshot, which I just quickly took it off. The open house feedback that we ask every open house agent that hosts our open houses. So we ask them, hey, if you're going to hold our open house, here's what we need you to answer, right? And if you don't answer these questions for us within a timely manner, usually by Sunday night or Monday early morning, then you're no longer hosting our open houses. So flip this, the opposite direction, kind of like what Brian was saying, Moses, that lead with that on top of everything about that Brian Moses said, hey, I'm going to do marketing, and here's all the questions that I'm going to answer for you right after the open house. Is there anything else would you like me to add? Right. So again, just show your professionalism, right? Speak to what that agent wants. What do these listing agents want? Most of the busy listing agents don't want to hold their open houses, but some sellers want them, right? Especially in my world of investors. If it was up to the investor, they would want us to hold an open house every freaking night and every day, right? So if you want to really have a pipeline of open houses, honestly, this is a little side tip. Get to know investors in your area, right? And who those listing agents are for the investors, and call those agents and be like, hey, I know you seem like you're a busy agent. You list a lot of flips. I would love to see if there's an opportunity where I can host some of your open houses, the ones that you can't get to, right? And then boom, lead with what Brian Moses said, along with, hey, here's the questions that I'm going to be answering for you. Anything else would you like me to answer afterwards, just so you can relate it to your clients?
That's great. Awesome. Craig?
Just adding something else into you're saying about just doing open houses and with the builders, go to these builders. Most of them don't know how to do social media. I'm doing one tomorrow afternoon, and the guy the builder is a real estate broker in the area. And he says, Craig, I'd love you to promote my listing, my new construction on your social media. So he's literally letting me go do all the video of his place and then push it through my guys and out through my stuff that hopefully I'm going to pick up a buyer for him. This guy's got a ton of agents, and guess what? None of them are doing it. He came to me. Granted, he's a friend and all that stuff, but here's the point. Do something different. Go to the big builders. They're not pushing stuff out. Who are they going to recommend a referral to if somebody has a home sale contingency? The person that's helping push them the most. So go get in the front of them, and maybe you'll ultimately get a listing from one of those salespeople that are on the books for them also. That's something we're doing. We're going to all the new developments in our area and saying, what do you have available for immediate delivery? What do you have as a special? What kind of incentives are you having to settle by the end of the year? And I'm pushing that because that's going to pull the person out who wants to buy, who's looking for a deal.
Right. Yeah, and I also and one thing, it's really funny. I was talking to an agent the other day about open houses, and she well, it's really hard for me on the weekends to open houses. Got young kids, and I get that. I go, look outside. So I'm in a corner office in my office here. And I said, look outside. What do you see? She's like, I see trees. I see clouds. I go, no. What do you see? I go, there's people driving by, right? Guess what? People drive by during the week also. and so, right, here's what my challenge to all of you guys that want to do open houses. You should be doing open houses all day, every day, Monday through Sunday or Monday through Saturday. The same house every day, work out of that house, do all your work out of that house, and you will generate leads, and you will generate a ton of leads. And you're going to have days when nobody comes. right? You're gonna have days where 2 or 3 or 4 people come. But I'll guarantee you, you're gonna get more people doing it 6 days or 5 days than you're just doing it one day. Because right now, if you power forward and make November 1st your New Year's Eve, right? I'll guarantee you, and I'll have Matt Batty, I read the check because he's got more money than I do. You will have 3 or 4 closings in January if you do that today. Right? If you do that for the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you will have 3 or 4 closings in January, guaranteed. I know you will because I did that my entire career. So we got a few more minutes. Anybody want to throw in any more life tidbits about life or hairstylist? Because I'm really struggling on the whole hairstylist thing right now.
I've got just a ninja tip because you guys all unlocked this stuff for me. So if you're a really good social media marketer like Cameron, I'm going to use Cameron because he's just our gift for social media. If you could understand what Craig and Randy just said, there were 2 opportunities there for you to go out and use hidden inventory. That's exclusive. Hidden means you are the only agent who knows about the inventory. If you do what Craig said, what's ready, what is standing inventory, that's a motivated builder. You got to sell those, got to get them off the books by the end of the year. Randy's talking about going out and working with investors. Typically, an investor home, when it's ready or right before it is ready and it's getting photographed, it's being staged. Nothing better than a beautiful staged flip to sit and hold an open house in it. That's like a mobile office spot, right? So whether it's builder inventory or hidden inventory, if you're really good at social media marketing, I would use a message that is a very now message for this time of year that says, are you a frustrated buyer and need to close by 2023? Like, do you need to close this year? I have hidden inventory. This is just social media marketing. You can word it the way you want to, but the goal is to get the frustrated buyers who need to close. They want to be in a house, and I have hidden inventory that's ready, willing, and able to go to close tomorrow. That's my message today with hidden inventory and builder market ready to go to the market type stuff. So word that however you want to, but it's a call to action, because those are the buyers that are frustrated. There are some that really are frustrated. They've looked at everything that's active in their inventory and they can't find anything. Well, guess what? You're there with hidden inventory and it may or may not work out. But once you get in front of them, now you have the opportunity to share with them, hey, here's what I'm talking about. I have this, I have that. And now you have something to talk about. And you whether you win right then or you win in a couple of weeks when a new listing hits the market that still can close by the end of the year, I'm telling you, you're going to get such good practice going into next year with this type of marketing that you can take the first quarter off rather than work your ass off.
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome. Are you guys getting the whole gist of this, by the way? Like, the whole idea here is do the work, right?
Yeah. When you're at the open house and they, because some will, like I think Mitch mentioned, like some open houses you might not have anybody come through or one person, and some might be, you'll have a ton of people, right? If it's priced aggressively, like the listing we had an agent hold an open house and there was people coming in all the time, right? So the point of this, if you do have a slower open house, what you do is plan ahead, get a Wi-Fi connection for yourself that's mobile, right? If a hotspot is too slow for you and it frustrates you, get a better connection through a portable Wi-Fi thing, right? And have it planned that, hey, if my open house is slow, here's the things I'm going to be working on, so you don't feel like you're wasting time, right? You never want to feel like you're wasting your time sitting at an open house. Do something productive that moves your business forward, right? Work on your business or follow up while you're there, but don't do things where if someone walks in and you're on a phone doing a follow-up call, like don't do that, right? You got to be able to work on things that you can pause really quick. Boom, whoever comes in, engage with them, and then go back to whatever you were working on, right? So just be smart how you utilize your time.
Right. So, Craig, one more question, then we'll get out of here. Go ahead, Craig.
Something real quick. Hey, everybody who's watching this. We're not just preaching. We're not just preaching. We're not hypocrites. We do this. We do it every day. We feel the pain. We're with you. That's why we're sharing. We're all growing. I'm still taking notes over here, what everybody else is doing. So don't think we're all sitting in some ivory tower and not feeling this. No, we're doing this. And I'm doing this because what Mitch just said, this is hard work. We're all doing this on the screen. We're not just sitting here blabbing. We're in the animal with you. So go do it. It gets fun after a couple days.
Okay,
Cameron, go
one
ahead.
more thing. I got to go through this real quick with social media. Open houses are the time to sit and do social media, you guys. You can edit stuff. You can get stuff ready. It's a great time to do social media. Also, right now, because of all of these mega corporations, YouTube, Meta or Facebook, Google, TikTok, they're all fighting for the users. And they're actually starting to pay people that are putting their content up there. I know this sounds silly, but last month, Facebook and TikTok paid me $400 to post my builders' homes to bring in buyers for my people that are bringing in leads. They're paying us because they're trying to fight for content. So once you start building a small following, it's about 1,000 followers on most of these platforms, you can start earning money by, sending out your marketing, which is really cool, I think. And it's going to be, I think the next kind of thing is instead of spending money on Facebook ads, they're actually going to be paying you because you're creating content, getting the users, you're getting the views on their platform. And that's really what all these mega corporations are fighting for, is the user. So if you can, play with them, it's you can also make money which it's not a lot, but it's still better than spending money month after month for views or for clicks or whatever, when you can actually do it for free or get paid for it. So
Love
social
that.
media, guys, really cool.
Right. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Keep in mind, this is open to anybody. So if you have friends that are struggling or need help, I've received so much awesome feedback from, obviously from the people here, but just from people that have attended these classes, how much it's changed their business by implementing some of the stuff. And nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to implement. Please invite other people here who'd like to build this thing out more. Have a wicked awesome week, everybody. We'll see you all later. Ciao, guys.
See you guys. Thank you, guys.
Happy New Year's.
Yeah, happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year's.
Yes.